This new buffed out Hunter Void Volatile build makes you a PvE god. You're going to be running around in endgame PvE whilst massively under the recommended power level with multiple benefits. You're going to get infinite invisibility, infinite volatile rounds, infinite devour which gives you infinite grenades and instant max health on kills. And if that's not enough, with this season's artifact perks, we're going to be applying a whole bunch of additional benefits to boost up this build to make it as powerful as it can possibly be. And the best part about this build is that you're getting all those effects simultaneously. So the instant max health and ability energy are applied whilst you're just casually going about your day, chaining between the invis and volatile rounds. And with elemental munitions, the new seasonal perk, we can just continuously chain between void kills with our void heavy weapon and throwing the orbs at the same time so that we can get our ammo back. So it's essentially infinite heavy and special ammo in most cases. Now I've used this build in master content whilst almost 30 under the recommended power level, which is pretty much just as hard as a Grandmaster Nightfall. So this build really does test its limits, and I have to say it does an amazing job. So if you guys like this one, then a rating is much appreciated. Otherwise, before we start, let's quickly check out today's sponsor. Today we are sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Have you ever wanted to fight in some really intense battles? Have you ever wanted to customize hundreds of unique champions while being able to make them extremely powerful by upgrading their skills, their abilities, and their overall power, and then use those champions to defeat bosses and earn loot? Well, Raid has it all. Now what I like most about Raid is that there's so much to discover. You can explore different unique champions that come from a variety of different factions. You can customize and develop their skills and abilities further to your liking, complete challenges and quests, fight in some intense battles against some of Raid's most dangerous enemies to become the most powerful legend in the game, and overall, there's just so much content in the game that you can't possibly get bored, especially with the constant regular updates that Raid has to offer that will keep you engaged. And speaking of updates, right now all new players can get one of the best epic champions around, the Stag Knight, as well as a skin for Stag Knight designed by JonTron. Just use the promo code JTSkin before October 7th to grab it. And if you're a returning or regular player, you can still get these awesome rewards through an in-game event. But that's not all, Raid is also giving everyone a free legendary champion for Sun Wukong. This is Raid's take on the mischievous Monkey King. All you have to do is just log into Raid for 7 days between now and October 23rd, and you'll get this amazing champion. It's as easy as that. So now is the perfect time to jump into Raid, and by clicking my link in the description or scanning my QR code here on screen, you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. This includes the free epic champion Talia, as well as a bunch of other goodies. So guys, what are you waiting for? Go download the game today, and let's raid. Now, we have covered a lot of new builds over the past few years, and with every new season we get a bunch of new artifact perks and quality of life changes and exotic reworks as well, which is why builds like these change and develop over time. So if you like these builds and you want to keep up to date with the best latest builds out, then be sure to check out that full playlist down below, as I do cover new and updated builds like this every week here on the channel, and you guys might just find your new favourite build. But with this one today, we're taking Void Hunters up to the next level using almost the same setup as the last season, except we have had to change a few things out in the subclass for the fragments, as well as a few mods too. Because now we have elemental orbs to play around with in the new seasonal artifact, well, this build is now capable of doing a few extra and unique things, which actually make the build more fun to use too. You can use this build as its base setup if you just don't care about making changes every season. That is fine, it does do a great job, but we got some new juicy perks in the artifact this season, so why not make the most out of them and enjoy them while they're here. So with this build, we're going to focus more towards using the new elemental void orbs, but while also still maintaining the classic infinite invis, volatile and devour build using void weapons. So we will still be able to just run around melting everything with our heavy and void weapons, but at the same time we're going to use those elemental munitions so that we can generate heavy ammo on void orb kills. And we're going to generate them pretty frequently too, so it just makes this build so good because we're able to kill stuff with a buffed out void machine gun that just pretty much never runs out of ammo in most cases. So the way you'll use this build is you'll first run in and dodge to go invisible, and then you're going to kill adds with a void machine gun to spawn an orb and a breach while getting volatile rounds. Picking them up will give ability energy and devour, which then means you're pretty much unkillable with your health constantly refreshing while going invis at the same time upon killing adds. But as you're just killing stuff, you'll spawn void orbs too. Then throwing these void orbs at adds will make them volatile, and getting kills with them will have a 25 to 33% chance to spawn special and heavy ammo, so it is quite consistent if you manage to kill a group of adds. Now if you're going into master content whilst massively underpowered, you are going to play it pretty much the same way, go invis, get kills, pick up the orbs and breaches, except you're not going to play too aggressively. You're going to want to sit back a little bit more with ideally other void weapons like a Limon bow for example, because using those void orbs to try and kill adds just ain't going to work. They aren't really strong enough to guarantee a kill, so it's only worth using to to make adds volatile if you need to, which you shouldn't anyway, as we're going to be using the Gyrfalcon's exotic. Now with Gyrfalcons, your void weapons will gain volatile rounds after you emerge from being invisible, so because of that, we're going to use our first void aspect, the stylish executioner, and what this does is make you invisible when you defeat a volatile target. So first we're getting our volatile rounds for our void weapons, and then we're going to be going invisible when we defeat volatile targets. So that's how that loop works. But to initially get that invis to begin that loop, we're going to use our second aspect, Vanishing Step, where dodging makes you invisible. So these two aspects are a requirement. Just make sure you're running some good void weapons like a Commemoration, a Funnel Web, or even some good exotics for endgame PvE. To get Devour for the instant max health and kills and infinite grenades, you're going to want to use the Echo of Starvation Void Fragment, where picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power grants Devour. Now I tend to use the other fragment, Echo of Cessation, where defeating a volatile target creates a Void Breach, just because it is so consistent, but you don't have to have this on, because we'll also generate those orbs too, right, using the Void Cipher mod in the helmet, and you want to be using this because those orbs are going to provide us with other benefits for the build, which we are going to get to a little later in the video. As for the other fragments, the only thing you really need is a Echo of Persistence, so that those buffs last longer. I am using an Echo of Dilation too, but specifically for the plus 10 to mobility and intellect for my triple 100 build. I am sadly 2 stats away from the triple 100, which is a shame, but to be honest, that few second difference with a tier 10 intellect isn't really going to make much of a difference anyway. So just get those stats primarily focused in mobility and resilience. Now the other stuff I'm using in these subclass are just a Deadfall Super, a Gambler's Dodge, a Triple Jump, Snare Bomb, and a Vortex Grenade. All of these are fully flexible so that you can use whatever you prefer. It doesn't affect the build at all. But since this build is dedicated to Season of the Witch, we do have some artifact perks to play around with too. So our first perk is going to be the Elemental Orbs Void. While using a Void subclass, Void Weapon Final Blows have a chance to spawn a Void Elemental Orb, which can be thrown to make enemies volatile. The next one we have is Refreshing Pickups, so that it grants us ability energy when we do pick them up, as well as Communal Pickups, which is just for some protection against allies who use our orbs, and then Elemental Munitions for the heavy ammo chance. But you'd really only use this in lower tier content, where getting kills with the Void Orb is actually achievable. Otherwise you're better off going with the monochromatic one for the increased DPS. Just chain between the grenade and the void weapons, but that is really all you need in terms of the artifact for this season. And these are bonuses, so the build will work fine without them if you do want to use them in any other season. Now for mods, these are quite important, so I do have 2 heavy ammo finders and a void siphon in the helmet. Arms I have a void loader and 2 bolstering detonations for reduced class cooldown. Chest I have my damage resist mods. Legs I have my discounted scavenger mod, as well as some cooldown ones. And then in the class I'm running 2 utility kickstarter mods, because you want to primarily focus on getting that dodge back as quick as you can, especially in endgame content where you might run out of time before getting kills with say a primary void weapon if you don't use a machine gun. But either way, this build is going to do a fantastic job in all types of content. Anyway, this here is the full artifact setup if you want to copy it, and again the full mod screen setup, but the dim link will be below anyway. This is by far one of the best hunter builds in Destiny 2 Lightfall Season of the Witch right now, and you guys definitely need to set this one up. But if you didn't like this build, then why not check out the full playlist down below for other choices. Otherwise, I'll see you guys soon for the next build. Take care guys.